Welcome to my parlor. Welcome, traveler, to the Hidden Corner Finds. I am Joanne, and this is my humble store. Pull up a chair, stay a while, make yourself at home. What? Oh, you want to know what I'm selling? Everything and anything. In short, I have a passion for. Why did it just bleep me? All I said was, I have a passion for picking, I said. Yeesh. You can't say anything on YouTube these days without this censorship. Anyways, as I was saying, I have a passion for picking. For me, there is nothing more satisfying than finding a unique and forgotten item and uniting it with someone who will really appreciate it for years to come. Whether it's a soapstone carving, an old book, or simply a mug to make you laugh, I try and find something for everyone. My goal is to make you a confident buyer. Older items often have a lifetime of stories to tell. I strive to describe the good as well as the bumps and bruises they've experienced along the way. It's important that the pictures reflect what you will receive. To that end, I always encourage questions and will do my best to respond as quick as possible. Appreciate you stopping by the store. If you can't find what you're looking for, please don't hesitate to contact me. I'm always looking for new ideas and will keep an eye out for your item in my travels.
Honey, what the happened to my action figure collection?
Whoops, gotta go. Bye.
Hello and welcome back to Toy Thursday with Johnny Tiger on March 21st, 2024. And today we are here to celebrate International Day of Forest, aka International Forestry Day. This day is used to celebrate our trees and plants on this planet because they are one of the most essential things that we are uh, damaging and destroying on a minute by minute basis, and yet we need them to keep us alive. Uh, I don't need to stand here and give you a speech on how important trees are to our air, to our water, to our soil. I grew up in Taiwan, and let me tell you guys this. In Taiwan, uh, every year there are a lot of people, a lot of structures being destroyed by landslide, mudslide coming down from the mountain. And the primary reason for that is that uh, we have cut down so much of the trees on the island that the soil is no longer held together by the tree roots, and so now the soil is just loose and unsupported. So when there's rain, and in Taiwan, just like a lot of tropical countries, we when it rains, it really, really rains, then all that loose soil come flooding down into the uh, city to the foot of the mountains, and rock and debris come down with it, and yeah, it's horrifying. So when you think about trees, like some people think, well, what do I need trees? I don't even like trees. Well, we actually really need them, right? They're there for a lot of purposes, purifying our air and water, and holding the soil together, and giving habitat, homes to insects and birds, and supporting cycles of life. It's just among some of the most important things. So again, March 21st every year is the day to celebrate trees and remind ourselves to be environmental, to plant trees. Uh, Again, very important, right? When you think about it, how long does it take to cut down the tree? Well, depending on the size of the tree, but not even a small tree, right? Even a small tree, it may take you what 10 minutes to cut it down, but it might take that tree 5 years to grow that big, right? So it's very important to start planting tree now, so we don't run out of trees by I don't know, 2050 or something like that. This day has been celebrated as the Day of Forestry ever since 1972, and it was in 2013 when it was officially acknowledged by the General Assembly of the United Nations to be the International Forestry Day on this day, March 21st, every year. So this is why we are having a tree guy opening the show for us today. We have none other than uh, Treebeard from Lord of the Ring. This is such a uh, conflicting figure for me because it is a bit of a sore subject. When I bought this, I've talked about this before, so I won't go into all the details. But suffice to say, I thought he was a lot bigger because I didn't realize there were two versions of this guy produced by Toy Biz. I didn't realize that there was a big version and a small version. I didn't realize I was buying the small version. I was just going by the description provided by the seller uh, and assuming that there's only one version of this guy. And when he showed up, I was like, what the hell? It's so small. It's like the regular size of a regular 6-inch figure. I mean, what good is that? I guess I can just think of him as Treebeard before he grew to be tree size, or something like that. So anyway, yeah. Still a very nice figure despite the small size and one that is worthy of opening the show for us. But today, we are actually going to look at yet another guardian of the forest. And this one, again, is kind of conflicting for me because I both love him and really, really hate him. We are going to look at Bryophytus, a figure from the Four Horsemen studio, All Stars 4. I believe he was released in 2022. Look at this guy. Okay, so Bryophytus. That's quite a mouthful to say. I keep wanting to say Bryophytus, or one of the websites I looked at said I had a really good one. The guy said the name kind of makes you want to sound like one of those jerks at the bar that keep wanting to say, "Bro, fight us, bro, fight us." But no, I think it's pronounced Bryophytus. It's from a kind of moss or lichen called Bryophyte, and this guy definitely looks the part, right? So this is Four Horsemen's tribute to the Masters of the Universe's version, Moss Man. So this you can say this is like a Four Horsemen's version of the Moss Man, uh, made for their Mythic Legion line, and so he's kind of got that whole green and fuzzy and look like he's covered in moss look to him, and he's an orc, but he's not just any kind of orc, right? Usually orcs are evil. This is actually a good orc. This guy is called a lichen orc. What the hell is like an orc? Well, you just think of it as an orc who's into plants and peace and the forest and stuff like that. But he's muscular and he got big tusk and long pointy ears like your average orc. It's the only difference is he's kind of green and fuzzy. He's covered in like this moss-like material, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But first, I want to give you a little bit of his background, more of his bio, so you know who Bryophytus is. So in the Mythic Legion story, I mean it's kind of long, so I'm not going to give you the whole Mythic Legion story, but in essence, it's very simple, right? There's five good factions, fighting five evil factions. So your classic fantasy stories of good versus evil, and each faction have their counterpart. So one of the good faction is called Zylona's Flock. Zylona is a goddess who is like into nature and forest and trees and animals and stuff like that. So basically, Zylona's flock is a good faction, and their followers are primarily elves and fairies and tree loving, tree hugging uh, people. They're like nature. into nature. You can say they got kind of a hippie vibe to them, uh, except pretty badass. Okay, so deep within Xylona's kingdom, there is a wild land, a piece of maybe you can imagine a big natural forest or a national park, if that makes more sense. A big piece of land that is pretty much all on its own, called the swale. And the swale has all kinds of strange creatures and trees and plants living in it. And this guy, Bryophytus, is the guardian of the swale. He's like an orc who has the power to absorb power energies from the trees and nature around him and redirect them uh, for his purposes. So he can basically get energy from trees and grass and stuff like that, and or control them and redirect them and use them for his purpose. So if you want to imagine like poison ivy in Batman, then you are very close to what Bryophytus can do. Now the bio we got with this guy is pretty short, like most of the bio in Mythic Legion. So like a lot of time you are given this like 3 or 4 line bios, and then the rest is up to your imagination. I mean, this guy there's nothing really complicated to him. He's a green guy who protects the forest. Basically, that's it. And he sounds like he's very powerful. He looks very powerful. He got this very muscular physique. He's built on the 1.0 Mythic Legion uh, ma buff male body, like the barbarians and the orcs. So he's got mostly bare upper body, bare upper arm, bare side, and he's wearing uh, greaves or leg shin guard and bracers on his arm, and then he's got a loincloth uh, and supported by a belt. The belt is yellow, and the loincloth and other armor pieces are these brownish, bronzy color, I guess. And the rest of him is like green. Has this really organic look about him. Like when I use the AI to tell me what he looked like, even the AI say this guy looked like he's covered in lichens and moss. So that's pretty cool. And he has 2 head options that I'm going to show you. So we have one head option right here, the one that's default on the figure. This is basically their standard orc head with uh, tusk and pointy ear and bald head, except in this case it's covered in that green flocking material. This guy is flocked all over, and I'm going to talk about that because that's actually why I don't like this figure, uh, despite him being really cool. Um, but yeah, so the head, the body, the torso, anywhere that's not covered by the armor is basically flocked with this green material. It's kind of disgusting when you touch this, and yeah. So this is the first head sculpt, that basically very generic orc head. He comes with another head. I'm going to show you guys. So this is the second head. I mean, it still looks like an orc. It still got the tusk and pointy ear, but this one, um, from what I understand, looks more friendly. This one looks like he's more peaceful, more wise, and it has a big, is that a beard? Like, is that his chin or his beard? I'm not quite sure. It looks like it has a giant chin, but that might supposed to be beard. Uh, if any one of you know, you can tell me in the comment section. So yeah, so these are 2 head option. I usually display him with this uh, bearded, more big chin uh, head because I think that make him look a little bit more unique than just a generic orc head. Uh, and he's supposed to be a good guy, so I think having him look a little bit less ferocious is not a bad thing. I mean, he still look really badass with that all that muscles and armor bits all over him. Uh, but yeah, I usually display him with this head. The head pop on and off the neck very easily. Like most Mythic Legion figures, if you warm it up, you can pop arms and legs off and stuff like that. It all come apart relatively easily. The joints work very smoothly. However, warming this guy up may be kind of challenging because of the flocking material all over the figure. I don't think you want to soak it in hot water. And when you use a hair dryer on this, it's going to blow flocking everywhere. Like this guy shed more than my cat. Okay, this is why I really hate this guy. Like it's such a good figure, and I guess the concept of flocking is good, but in practice, it's annoying as heck. Just taking photos of him earlier, I had to vacuum my desk because it was dropping green fuzz all over my desk. And every time I finish handling this guy, I have to wash my hands because I end up with green fuzz all over my fingers. And like it's just I don't even want to really touch him because every time you move his joints, you move his arms, or change the head or stuff like that, put weapons on, take weapons off, he's shedding, and it's just really messy. And like I said, the flocking material feel kind of disgusting as well. Uh, Tactily, it's uh, I don't even know how to describe it. Like, if you felt flocked toys before, then you probably know what I mean. Like, it kind of feels like how a dead rat feels like, right? I felt dead rat before. That's how I know. So yeah, it's such a good figure. I love my Four Horsemen Mythic Legion figure. Every one of them really well done. The backstory of this guy is pretty cool. And we haven't even finished looking at him yet, but I'm going to tell you that this has got to be my least liked or my most hated Mythic Legion figures to date. Not because of his design, not because he's broken, not because of anything, but a design choice that they made to flock him. And this guy just shed so much and making a mess wherever he goes. Uh, Not cool. So for accessories, he comes with this standard issued brown leather belt that almost all the Mythic Legion figures come with. I'm not complaining. I actually kind of like these because they give you a place to hold their weapons. And in this case, he comes with a little sheathed knife, a little curved dagger uh, that's kind of gold, I guess, in color that you can sheath on this. And you can put this strap around his waist or have it go diagonal on his chest like I do here and have him carry the dagger like uh sort of hilt down uh, on his chest like this. This is how I carry my knife a lot of the time too. And I hope you guys can see this because I was told that this sheath is very gorgeous. I have a kind of an eye motif, and the dagger it can come out. Let me see. Be careful when you are maneuvering this because some people snap the clip on the sheath. It's kind of brittle. So here's the dagger, holding it in front of the camera like that, right? It's a curved little dagger that really well made. It doesn't really fit in his hand very well because his grip are kind of loose. At least they are now. I don't know. I don't remember when he first arrived if his grips were this loose, but because I've been having him hold his other weapons, so he's kind of got stretched out a little bit. Um, so in addition to the strap and the extra head, I'm getting the other stuff. He also, like a lot of other Mythic Legion figures, he comes with two shoulder pauldrons that you can put on him, and I just dropped one. Excuse me. These are the very standard shoulder pauldron that come with the knights, and honestly, I don't like displaying him with these. Um, for two reasons. One, it doesn't fit his character. I mean, he's this nature guy. He's a half naked, uh, green man, wandering around the forest. I think it's silly for him to have these giant, bulky shoulder armor. But more so, the second reason is he's mostly naked. Like why? Like I think for a topless character, bare-chested character to wear giant shoulder pad, it's really stupid. Like how are they even wearing that? How is that attached, right? It doesn't make sense. Maybe I just overthink it. So, like for me, if I have to use these, I would only use one. Like maybe like this. So I would only put one side on because then you can pretend that this brown leather strap is holding it on, right? But honestly, for the most part, I prefer my Bryophytus without these shoulder armor. And these just plug into these holes in the back, so they go in and out very easily. Like I said, I prefer him without them, um, but they're there if you need that extra option. Now, when the peace-loving, tree-hugging Bryophytes run into evildoers intending on harming his forest, he of course have to get firm with them. And one of the ways to get firm with them is with this chunky dwarven mace that he can hit them over the head with. And this thing looks pretty serious. Like it's not very long, but it sure look heavy. It's like a meat tenderizer with like all these angles and blades and stuff on it. Just look very serious, right? Look very threatening. We already mentioned that Bryophytus has the power to tap into the magic of the land. So to help himself accomplish that, he comes with a magic staff as well. Now this staff is like taller than him. It looks like it's like copper, uh, like it's made out of metal with a twisted branch, I guess, on the top, and this twisted branch has a green orb that is twisting around. So it has a really interesting hybrid, half organic, half metal look to it. Kind of interesting. Like you would think someone like Bryophytus would be using more rock or wood or bone weapon, but he's got a metal dwarven mace and he's got a metal staff. Uh, that he's using and a metal dagger. So yeah, that's kind of unexpected. I'm not going to mess with his articulation on camera because he's shedding everywhere as soon as I move him. But if you've messed with Mythic Legion 1.0 figures before, then you know the shoulders move, the neck, the head is on a ball joint, the shoulder is on a ball joint, the knees and the elbows are single jointed. They don't, especially the elbows they don't really have that great of a range, especially on these bulkier guys. You'd be lucky you get 90-degree out of those elbows. The wrist go in and out horizontally. There's a waist twist. I think the waist is ball jointed. I think yeah, I think that waist is ball jointed. Um, hip can go in and out, kick forward and back. Knees, single jointed. I mentioned that, and the rocker ankles and the ankles can also go forward and back. Wrist can turn as well. So not the greatest of articulation, but not bad either. Honestly, these figures were more for their look than being able to pull off Spider-Man poses. At least for me, I don't usually require my figures to have a lot of articulation. As long as they play well, handle well, look good, that's usually good enough for me. Now, I still need them to have some articulation. So, McFarlane, if you ever watch my video, I doubt he will, but just in case, if you ever do, yeah, that's why I'm not buying any of those statues because I still need them to have some articulation. Not much, but it'd still be nice to get them into 3 or 4 different poses. For size comparison, we bring in our good old trusty Captain America, and we can see that Bryophytus is about the same size as Captain America, maybe a smidget taller and smidget bigger, but it's very comparable. So he's basically the size of a large-ish human on the upward of 6 inch. Not quite 7 inch, so if you stand him with McFarlane figures, he's going to seem a little bit on the small side. And for fun, we bring in our earlier looked at smaller Treebeard. Even though he's a smaller Treebeard, he's still larger than our Lycan Orc Bryophytus here. And on the other side, we bring in the Mossman from Masters of the Universe Revelation, who is slightly taller, but I think they are pretty comparable with each other. And just for one more green plant-like thing, here is uh, the Ivy from Resident Evil. I know it's a completely different subject, but it kind of fits in with all these plant guys and uh, plant looking creature thing. Back like that. Right? Okay. So now we have a whole lineup of green guys, green things. I actually should have brought in Swamp Thing from DC Comics now that I thought of it. But anyway, so this gives you guys a pretty good idea of the size and display option for Bryophytus, and for a little bonus, just in case you thought that I was lying about him shedding more than my cat, just look at my countertop. Yeah, look at how much he shed on my countertop. I'll have to wipe the heck out of this. There you have it, folks. Thank you for checking out our uh, International Forestry Day special with Bryophytus and his plant and tree pals. We'll be back again tomorrow for Fitness Friday.